Hey there, everybody. Welcome to our review in reaction to Survivor 44, Episode 8. I'll be honest here from the start. Did you everybody want to know my review of the first 30 minutes of this episode?
Mm-hmm.
See,
Oh, you didn't like a 30-minute challenge?
I did like it there. When Danny farting is the most memorable moment from the
I
challenge,
know.
and basically, appealing to his inner 5-year-old self. That's the thing we're leading off here. I was just like, okay, is Carson getting medevaced? Is something going on that we're not gonna have a tribal? Why are we wasting all of this time here?
I will say, I really enjoyed watching Lauren win that immunity. I mean, she was a rock.
Yeah.
That is a hard challenge, and she was steady.
I could have done without 3 minutes of Carolyn just writhing around in the mud and just screaming. I was just kind of got it. I was gonna make a joke about her still being there while we're doing this video, but she eventually found her way out.
She did. I mean, yes, it went on a lot longer than it needed to the point that, yeah, we're getting fart jokes. I'm just like, oh, all right.
Yeah. Here we go. Okay, now we got to talk a lot about that second half hour of this episode, though. Just what feels to me just like a colossal, ridiculous blunder that Heidi makes that somehow doesn't blow up in her face as bad as it really could have. Also, Danny, there's a lot of weirdness and strategy, but of course, hit that subscribe button. We promise we will never make a fart joke in any other video.
Why
this
you
Survivor
promising?
season. I'm assuming that Danny's not going to
I
fart
will
again.
make more fart jokes.
Okay, well then.
Hit that subscribe button for more fart jokes.
I didn't know what to say at that point. I was just like, well, there you go, everybody. This is just evolving into a fart sitcom now. Here we go. Okay.
Also, we've got Succession going on here on the channel, and Yellow Jackets, Ted Lasso. There's all kinds of good stuff. So hit that subscribe button.
Okay. So, thank you.
You're welcome.
I love Probst, by the way, being like, I don't want to be up there. I was like, there you go, Probst. It's like your one super memorable commentary from this. All right, now, I have gone back and forth about this 20 times, and I'm prepared to argue everyone in the comments who wants to argue this.
All right. Let's put on your hard hats, everybody.
Okay, all right. So Heidi, Danny tells Heidi, all right, I got the immunity idol after all this time. She then has this great idea of I'm gonna go and tell Carson and Jam Jam about this to sort of earn their trust. And it's the plan ultimately does work. Danny uses the idol on Frannie, and Frannie ends up staying. Brandon ends up going for a couple of minutes. I thought, did Heidi actually do a good thing? And then I talked myself out of this. It was like, no, this was terrible, because what she did was she gave Carolyn, Jam Jam, and Carson an out where they can just go and vote with everybody else, the former Ratu people, and they don't have to show any of their cards whatsoever. So she just did them a big favor, and Danny had to use his idol anyway.
Yeah, because it's now put Frannie, Danny, and Heidi as sort of this smaller trio instead of it's really separated them from everybody else to save Frannie. And I understand why they're doing that. It makes complete sense. But they didn't put enough into Carson, Carolyn, Jam Jam to really earn them to come over and be like, no, we are the six. We are going to go to the end together. Let's really make it that this is how it is.
And I was just sitting here being like, Danny, you're not even wanting to let everybody in on the plan. You're counting on this idol part of it. Listen.
Yeah.
I have been saying that Frannie was sort of my winner pick for the past few weeks, but I'm starting to really worry about Frannie because unfortunately the car she's in is the clown car. And right now Danny is just driving it around and refusing to tell certain people about his plan and relying on this idol thing that could have very easily blown up in his face dramatically.
Yeah. I mean, there were some interesting moves with Danny anyways. I understand he's trying to break up this other tribe. But then you go back and you remember he had this big talk with Brandon at that sanctuary lunch where they were like, yeah, bruh, to us together, we're gonna run this when we get to the merge. And I'm sure Danny got to the merge and was like, oh, Brandon's still really tight with his tribe. But at the same time, Brandon's not coming after Danny. He's not talking about Danny. He's not doing anything to Danny. So why isn't the strategy then, okay, we'll keep Brandon because me and Brandon, we have
Yeah.
a bond and we made this sort of bond. And I think that if we can get rid of some of the other people he's aligned with, I can bring him in closer to me. Instead, you're going to target the guy that you're like, you and me, we're in this together. To be what, like, why?
I don't understand. I also,
Unless he really thinks that if he targeted someone else on that tribe, that Brandon would be like, I'll never forgive you.
it has to be that. Like, there has to be a reason that we just didn't see, because like the other deal here is that, I understand the idea of, okay, you're chipping off a number on like this group that was sort of in power, like, good for you on that. But it's also like a lot of the challenges at the end of Survivor seasons, they aren't like go and lift this 200-pound thing and be like, bruh, who wants to come to the bodybuilding show? Look at my, it's like none of that is not the challenges at the end of Survivor. Like, Brandon, yeah.
Everybody hit that
Okay,
subscribe
why?
button to watch Matt flex.
There's no muscle to flex. That's just the thing is, and I hate to say this because I love my boy Dungeon Master Kane, but Kane should have been the vote, because it's just like he seems reasonably athletic enough. Plus the fact that he's like running around and playing and LARPing with like the immunity sword earlier on, like he's clearly a nerd. He's clearly really smart. Like, I would be more worried about Kane at the end of the game than I would be probably Brandon based on what we have seen so far.
Yeah, I mean, even the challenge tonight, yeah, there was a lot of running and twisting and whatever, but that last part of the challenge,
Yeah.
where it's like smaller and smaller and smaller to put your feet on, someone like me with size 5 feet, yeah, my feet are small. I'm doing well in that challenge, and I wouldn't do well in many challenges because I am not an athlete in any kind of way. But that challenge was made for somebody like me. I mean, I've got fairly all right, stronger arms, the strongest part of me, but I got little feet. I mean, that was going to be a tough challenge for everybody else.
I have size 14 feet. I would say I would be just flat on my face in the mud there, but the truth is I would be Carolyn screaming in the net because I would have never gotten out of that net. I would still be there now. Like, that is that is not my challenge. Nothing about this relates to this. But like, it's just every person on the Danny in particular, I'm so confused about what a lot of what he did. Heidi, I'm really confused by not just what she did in this episode, but like what she did the time before, and then or like going to Jam Jam and just sort of being like, so yeah, I did this because I kind of knew where the vote was gonna go, and I didn't want to sort of make any waves. And it's just like, if you're Jam Jam, it's like, how much are you really buying this?
Listen, you have to say something. Heidi couldn't say nothing. She had to come up with something. And there's no real good way to be like, this is why I did this to you. But she had to say something. It just wasn't that convincing. It's the same problem she had with telling them about the idol. It's not the worst idea. It's not the greatest idea either. But if she was convincing enough and had enough sort of plan of how I'm going to actually bring them in to work with us so that they don't feel like they have to, like, let's not show our cards, we'll just sort of vote with everybody, that they really could pick a side. Like, that could have been a move if it was done in a way that was convincing. It just wasn't.
That is the problem, and I'm about to say something that's going to sound very mean, and I promise I'm not trying to be mean here. It's just that, we had Merge Boot Danny that I officially can no longer call him Merge Boot Danny. I
No.
tried to stretch out that bit as long as possible. It is broken in half, but Heidi's new name may be third place Heidi, because I think Heidi is going to be brought to the end, and I think Heidi is going to lose in spectacular fashion because, like, I give her credit. That's why I'm saying I'm not trying to be mean. I appreciate the fact that she is out there trying to play the game.
Yes,
She's
she is.
trying to make moves. She's not just a bump on the log. It's just like the moves that she's doing are just so weirdly executed. And even here, just from an entertainment standpoint, she really deprived us of the opportunity to sort of say, like, what would Carson, Carolyn, and Jam Jam have done if they didn't know about this idol, and then they wouldn't have known, okay, well, we can put our votes on Frannie. Danny's going to use the idol on Frannie. We can hide who we're really aligned with for a little while, it would have forced them to actually do something, and we never will know now what they would have done. So thank you very much, Heidi.
Right, but at the same time, if Heidi had been able to really use that idol and she had the sort of social skills in this situation to be able to really gain their trust in that kind of way, that could have been like such an interesting move if the three of them really had moved over to create this six. I mean, the look on that other tribe's face
Yeah.
would have been like priceless.
I will tell you. I will tell everybody now what I thought with every fabric of my being was going to happen at this tribal. I thought Danny was going to just get owned in like a truly spectacular fashion. Like even to the point where he's just like up there playing the idol for Frannie. Frannie's so grateful. I thought all the votes were coming in on Danny, and he was just going to get himself voted out of the game.
Oh, when Jam Jam was like, maybe I'll take this
Yeah.
information and go over here and we'll all just vote on Danny, I was just like, oh my God. Oh my God. If you do that, please just he's the winner of the game. That is the move. I would vote for that like completely. I mean, and now is really an important time anyways. I mean, they said it at Tribal. We've got our first jury member. Everything that's said now is going to be, judged. And this is a really important time now. So now you really do need to be making moves and making them at Tribal so that people remember.
I think Jam Jam and Carolee need to like up their game just a little bit in that capacity. Like I do think
Yeah.
they're in a really good spot. Like I will give them credit for that. Like they're playing the middle really well. Carson, I don't think Carson's in anywhere near as good a spot if I'm being honest.
No, I think that, I mean, Carolyn even said this tonight, and it made me more worried about my winner pick here. Like, she has a fairly good resume, but at one point during this episode, she was like, I don't mind if everyone underestimates me and thinks I'm the turkey. Okay, but it can't be like that for very long, and it's already been kind of like that. Like, even though she's been building up her resume, we saw that at the sanctuary lunch where she was like, I've done this and this and this, and
Yeah.
guys, like, they're talking like she's not even there. And if she keeps that going too long, she's gonna end up at the end of this like Godfrey from Big Brother
Oh
Canada,
yeah.
where she can't explain her way out of it enough to be like, actually, I was playing this whole time. I did this and this and this, and everybody be like, sure, turkey. Like she's kind of putting herself into that turkey spot.
I'm never getting over Godfrey losing on Big Brother
Right?
Canada. Who cares that it's like 7 years later? I'm still mad about it. No, it's true. Carolyn, unless you're like at the very end of this game with like a total disaster of like a final three of people who have literally done nothing, and I don't know if I don't know if there's that many people in this game right now who are going to go up there and have done like absolutely nothing. I think you have to be able to at least claim a certain something. And so
Mhm.
I hope that she finds a way to get that. I think Carson is a little bit too confident about where he is, about how his whole little Three Stooges thing is working and running the game. Like I said, I thought he was going to be evacuated. So at least Carolyn can sort of hold him up, I think, as a shield for now.
Yeah, I think she made a really good move picking Carson when Carson was like, oh man, I've been sick all night. And
Yeah.
like, I completely understand, if you don't want to partner with me. And she just stood up right away and was like, no, it's you and me. I think that was a really good move for her and for Carson. I know Carson's been talking a lot in confessionals where he's kind of like, I'll knife anybody. Whoever I have to take out in the back and have a knife fight with, I will to get to the end. And I believe him. But at the same time, having at least one ally who's like, I got your back, through sickness, through health. I am here with you. And if, we don't win the challenge, we do it together, sort of thing, I think is something that Carson may not have realized he needs, but I think he's starting to realize he does. It feels like he came into the game with that idea that he can be like this one man wrecking ball and just,
Yeah.
play everybody. And he doesn't really need to have an ally, but then he has found himself an ally, whether he wants it or not.
That relationship is going to be awesome. I think that is Carolyn's key to winning this game. I'm going to throw that out there right now.
Yeah.
She needs to take out Carson at some point, and she needs to make it publicly clear that this is her move. If she does that, she wins this game. Like, I feel very confident about that. Now, Since you said how you were worried a little bit about your winner pick,
I am.
I'll talk a little bit how I'm worried about my winner pick now coming out of this episode, because it's like I have two schools of thought here. Number one, I'm obviously very happy that Frannie is safe. I do not have egg on my face at this given point in time. However, they didn't really show her doing a lot. It was just sort of like Danny coming up to you and being like, "Don't worry, I'm going to play my idol on you." Like, I guess that it is a credit to Frannie's social game that Danny is willing to do that.
Yep.
But it's also kind of like, if she's the winner of the season, like, how are we not seeing it now? I thought once we got rid of, her one true game love and Matt, who's just like over there on the jury bench, that like we would start to see her a lot more as like an active player. We didn't really see a lot of that. So like now, like editing wise, like I'm starting to freak out a little bit.
And just for those of you who haven't heard the news,
Yeah.
Matt and Frannie are still going strong. He has done some interviews and I know, oh, that's so cute. And they are still going strong.
Yeah.
But no, I actually found it interesting that they wanted to pile a bunch of votes on Frannie. I was kind of like, okay, they got rid of Matt, so they split them up. What is the threat now? She's won a challenge and that's great. And she is a good social player. So I do understand that.
Yeah.
But there are other people that could have been more targeted. I mean, her one true ally is sitting on the bench now. It's kind of like, okay, then why Frannie? So they must see her as an actual threat, challenge wise, social wise, that without Matt, that she's just going to grow stronger or something.
It's really, it is true. I mean, the thing is that this is what makes this season so weird. And this could be totally off. Like, I may get on the clown car that Danny is driving with my take on this, but it really feels like Carson, Carolyn, and Jam Jam are all playing this game to varying degrees pretty well. And I don't know how well anybody else is really playing it right now. It just seems like these two other groups are like obsessed with each other, but they're not really even looking at the right targets. They're not really thinking a lot about, who has so many allies, who doesn't have so many allies. It is weird. I will just put it that way.
Yeah, these two tribes are really at each other. They're going to have a knife fight. And then, you got Carson, Jam Jam, and Carolyn in the middle being like, well, I guess we're going to the end because nobody's paying attention to us anymore. Cool, good for us. That's all working out really well.
I wonder if people didn't want to put the vote on Jamie because they're really worried about Jamie's 8 immunity idols that she found. And by the way,
my girl Jamie's still there.
I love Jamie being just like, I'm a 10, but I mask it better. It's like, well, great.
You are a 10, Jamie. You gas yourself up.
She's like, just gassing herself up, and then basically at the same time also just being like, well, look at you, Heidi, for not being as good at this as I am. So like, why are you saying it like this, Jamie?
Jamie is such a character. I am so glad she is on this show.
Jamie is doing a great job of being somehow safe while still also being a disaster at the same exact time.
Yes.
Well, okay, we'll be grateful to have her still in the game. I think, this episode was kind of a fart for a good bit of it, but got a little bit better at the end here.
What happened to the no fart jokes?
Okay, you already broke it. See, now I'm just throwing you under the bus because now I'm just having to backpedal on my own promise that I already broke. I'm sorry. Please still subscribe. Okay, well, before we wrap this video up, and we can this is a transition that can be made in good humor because like Keith Nail loved humor. It's one of the funniest Survivor players that have been out there. He passed away this week. I think, all of us who are really big Survivor fans like know what he brought to the show and how important it is to just sort of have like big fun people out there that feel like real and raw. Like those are the reasons that we watch this show. So, our thoughts, our condolences are out to Keith's family.
Absolutely.
And I know this has got to be a very difficult time. I'm sure the show will tribute that more and more as the season goes along. But we will wrap this video up now. We have more Survivor coming. I feel like this is going to be a good end to the season. I'm crossing as many fingers as I can here.
As long as my girl Carolyn is at the end, I will be happy. But I mean, it's a really good cast. I mean, there's, you guys know I'm rooting for Carolyn, but there's a few people that I'm like, if they get to the end and win, it's going to be a good winner.
Yeah, I think we've got great potential. Let's hope it lives up to it. Hit that subscribe button. Stick around. We will have so much more coverage coming your way, and we will see you then.